I don't know if you've noticed, but for the past several months, it's felt like you're completely restructuring the way you're operating in life. At least that's been my experience and the experience of so many people I've spoken to lately. And it feels like the way we used to do things was to try to do as much as we can. And subconsciously, maybe looking back, we know now, or maybe we were self-aware then as well to notice this, but it was almost like we were achieving in order to feel a certain way about ourselves, to feel accomplished. But at the end of the day, it was coming from a place of lack, a place of not totally loving and accepting all parts of you. And so to fill in those gaps, we were looking for this sense of accomplishment to give us that good feeling that we weren't already giving ourselves. And so that's how we operated our lives, our businesses. We just felt like we needed to hurry and get this thing done and execute on this other thing and do all these things, and that gave us this sense of satisfaction. And another aspect of this old way that we used to do things would be seeking the validation and approval of others, whether that was someone that we looked up to. Maybe it was a mentor, maybe it was people we worked with and engaged with, maybe it was our clients, but it was this sense of needing to know that the things we are choosing to do are approved and have the stamp of approval, and we have permission to do it, like as if there was anyone outside of us who could really give us that permission. But we were sourcing it from outside of ourselves. We weren't sourcing it from within ourselves. We weren't already giving ourselves the permission without needing someone or something outside of us to tell us that we can go ahead and do the thing we want to do. That's how we used to run our lives, run the way of being, run the way we were doing things. And what I've come to realize the past several months, and I know it's been happening to so many other people too, is it's almost like we can no longer even access that part of ourselves. We've shifted so much within ourselves that we are just incapable of this need to get things done or this hustle. It's just not, it doesn't exist within us anymore. And it feels like it could be like a lack of motivation or like an apathy. But that's what it seems like, only because we were so used to operating in a certain kind of way of needing to do and getting that sense of gratification from being productive and checking things off the to-do list. We were so used to operating that way that now without that, we don't even have that inclination to be that way. It feels like, where's my spark gone? Like, where's my motivation? Where's this drive? Like, it almost feels like we're too complacent, going day to day, not feeling this need to do and accomplish. And then at the same time, it's like the part of ourselves that had that drive to be approved by others, that part's gone too. So, when it comes to creating and being in the world, it's like we can no longer access the part of ourselves that was doing things in order to get people's stamp, people's great job, like for you to feel good about other people's impressions of you, like that part's gone too. So then it just feels like, another layer of the lack of motivation and almost apathy, because it's like, where does my motivation come from now? Like, I don't have the need to hustle. I don't have the need for external validation and approval. And I'm just kind of existing. And what is so clear to me is that we're in this midst of a transition. We're in this like portal of like in between, like we've let go of the old, but we're not quite accessing and moving from the new. And so we just feel like we're in this limbo. It feels like it feels like, how will I get anything done? Or move forward in what I want to do and create in the world if nothing's driving me. Like, what's driving me? And so what I really feel like when I tune into the new, we're moving in that direction, but it's like now we get to give ourselves permission to move entirely from what lights us up, from what gives us absolute pleasure, from what we so desire to do, from what seems fun, from what seems like, you'd really enjoy that. Like, just because for the sake of having an enjoyable experience, because this lights you up to do, and this is fun, and you do it for you, because honestly, the old way of doing things, you were doing it as part of a self-neglect. You weren't giving yourself that validation and approval. You weren't already feeling good enough about yourself, so you were compensating from the outside. But this time, this is different. This time is different. This time, you get to already move forward in the world from a place of wholeness, from a place of total love and being enough and feeling worthy. You come from this place of wholeness, and so you only create from that place of wholeness, and you create more wholeness. You do and move in the world from a place of what fuels you, because you have already filled yourself. And so you do what makes you feel even more alive, even more in love with life, even more passionate. And so now, as we navigate this shift, how can you maybe shed the things you were telling yourself that maybe you should be doing? And as you drop away all those shoulds, or the things that you feel like you should be doing but you're not doing, dropping all of those and instead asking yourself, if there were absolutely no rules, if there was absolutely no right or wrong way, if there was absolutely no expectation, if you were completely free to do what you desire, however you want, what would that be? And as you tune in and that answer starts to come to you, you can ask yourself, how willing am I to step completely into this new path? Forgetting about what might happen, forgetting about what could happen, but just how willing am I to completely step onto this path? And how much longer am I willing to wait before I completely step onto this path? And remembering that there is no oh yeah, I need to step into the new. No, because if you try to push yourself, it's going to backfire. But how willing am I to step path now? And how much longer am I willing to wait before I fully step onto this path? And if you have to wait a little longer, that's fine. There's no rush. But if by asking yourself those questions, you notice that maybe something clicked and maybe that new path seems kind of exciting, and maybe you'd be willing to give it a try. So then it's just about taking one step at a time. You don't have to have the whole thing figured out. You just take one little step at a time. Just the first thing that comes to you. Because when you take that step, the next thing becomes clear, and the next thing becomes clear. And it unfolds one step at a time, but you don't have to have everything figured out before. You don't have to know what's going to happen or how it's going to play out. You just need to be willing to take that one step, because when you take that one step, the clarity for the next step comes, but not before you take that one step. So my wish for you with this video is that you got some clarity about what's been going on, what you've been experiencing, what is this limbo you may have been feeling. And I hope that you got some clarity about what is your next step. And I hope that you got clear about what that looks like for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you